I want you to imagine this. One day, many years from now, you're sitting in silence, no noise, no distractions, just the echoes of your own life. And in that silence, one question will ring louder than all the rest. Did I create this life or did I merely survive it? You see, the most tragic loss in life isn't death, it's potential left unused. And what's worse than failure? Success in the wrong direction. Human beings were not built to drift. We are architects of thought, engineers of habit, creators of destiny, but only if we act like it. And if you don't design your future, I guarantee you'll end up tolerating one you never asked for. So today, I challenge you to look your comfort zone in the eye and ask, is this my dream? Or is this just where I stopped trying? I learned long ago that you can't just hope life will turn out well. You have to design it that way. See, life is not a matter of chance. It's a matter of choice. And the truth is simple. You're either the architect of your life or you're left living in a structure someone else designed. And let me tell you something. Those ready-made blueprints rarely fit your dreams. Most people wake up each day reacting to bills, to problems, to people's opinions, instead of responding to a clearly drawn plan. Now, I know what it feels like to drift, to just get by. I've been there. But drifting never leads to anything magnificent. Ships don't reach new lands by floating aimlessly. They reach by deliberate direction and intentional sailing. I remember in my early days, I was working hard, real hard, but going nowhere. One day, I realized I was trading my life for a paycheck that barely covered my rent. That was the moment I had to ask myself, am I building something? Or am I being built by default? From that day forward, I began to draw, not with a pencil and ruler, but with vision, clarity, and decisions. I chose to become the architect. It's not always about giant leaps. Even architects begin with sketches. You start small, learning a new skill, saving a few dollars, waking up a bit earlier to read or plan. Those little things are bricks. Every action is a brick. The question is, are you stacking them to build a mansion, or just piling them into a wall that boxes you in? As the Stoic Epictetus once said, no man is free unless he is master of himself. And what is a master if not a builder, someone who shapes his world instead of submitting to it? If you don't take that responsibility, life will assign you a role you didn't audition for. And it usually comes with low pay and long hours. Design is deliberate, victimhood is default. You choose which one you want to live in. Comfort is a strange companion. It wraps itself around you like a warm blanket, promising rest, peace, and safety. But if you're not careful, that same blanket becomes a trap, soft on the outside, but suffocating over time. See, comfort is a silent killer. It doesn't shout. It whispers. It tells you you're fine where you are, even when you know deep down you were made for more. I've seen it happen to good people, people with talent, ambition, and dreams. They start strong, take a few steps toward their goals, and then comfort shows up, dressed like wisdom. It says, slow down, take it easy, don't stretch too far. And before long, those dreams are quietly buried under routine, hesitation, and fear disguised as practicality. But here's the thing. A comfortable life isn't the same as a fulfilled life. One gives you rest, The other gives you meaning. And meaning only comes through growth. And growth, well, that lives just outside your comfort zone. There was a time I had a steady job, a predictable routine, and what most would call security. But I wasn't secure, I was stuck. I wasn't thriving, I was tolerating. I remember waking up one morning and asking myself, if I do this same routine for the next 10 years, will I be proud? The answer shook me. No, I wouldn't be proud. I'd be safe, maybe, but not proud. I'd be comfortable, but not free. The old philosophers warned us. Seneca once said, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult." Comfort dulls your daring. It makes the fire fade. But life rewards the bold. Not the reckless, but the bold. The one who chooses discomfort for a season over regret for a lifetime. Comfort asks for very little and gives even less. But regret is a heavy burden to carry, especially when you know the opportunity was once in your hands. Don't let comfort rob you of the life you were designed to build. You know, there's something most people don't realize until it's too late. The cost of tolerating is always higher than the cost of change. Change might feel uncomfortable in the beginning. It might ask more of you, stretch you, even scare you a little. But tolerating that comes with a slow, steady price that compounds over time, and by the time you notice it, it's already taken years off your potential. I've seen people stay in jobs they despised, relationships that drained them, routines that numbed them, not because they lacked options, but because they feared change more than they feared regret. They convinced themselves it wasn't that bad. But let me tell you something I learned. The phrase, "it's not that bad," has destroyed more dreams than failure ever has. I remember a man I once met after one of my seminars. He said, "I wish I had heard this talk 20 years ago." I asked him what he meant. He said he'd stayed in the same job for over 2 decades, not because he loved it, not because it fulfilled him, but because it paid the bills and didn't rock the boat. The boat stayed steady, sure, but the harbor never changed. And now the horizon was a memory. That's the price of tolerating. Change, on the other hand, is an investment. It's tough in the short term, like turning the soil before you plant the seed. But that's where the harvest comes from. I remember when I first decided to step out of the safety net and into the unknown. It wasn't easy. I had to adjust my mindset, my habits, even the people I surrounded myself with. But every day I chose growth over comfort. Life opened up in ways I could have never predicted. The price I paid to change was nothing compared to the life I gained on the other side. As the old proverb says, "He who deliberates fully before taking a step will spend his entire life on one leg." Don't let the fear of short-term discomfort trap you in long-term mediocrity. Change has a cost, but settling costs you everything. It's a paradox that often surprises people when they finally understand it, that the true path to freedom begins with taking full, absolute responsibility for your life. Most folks think freedom is about doing whatever you want, whenever you want. But that's not freedom that's drifting. Real freedom isn't the absence of structure. It's the presence of direction, driven by responsibility. Until you take responsibility, your life belongs to someone else. Your past, your habits, your excuses, your circumstances. I remember the day it hit me. I was sitting alone with a pile of excuses and nothing to show for them. I blamed the economy. I blamed my upbringing. I blamed the weather, but none of that changed my bank account, my health, or my future. That's when I made a decision. If my life was ever going to mean something, it had to be because I made it mean something. From that moment on, I stopped handing out the steering wheel of my life to things I couldn't control and took it back into my own hands. You see, when you take responsibility, you take back your power. You become the author of your story, not just a character reacting to someone else's plot. And sure, it's a heavy burden at first, but soon it becomes your greatest strength. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, once said, asterisk, very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. Asterisk responsibility isn't about blaming yourself. It's about empowering yourself to change, to grow, to rise. Think of your life like a garden. If you're not planting the seeds intentionally, weeds are going to take over. That's not your neighbor's job, not your boss's fault, not the government's responsibility. It's yours. The weeds of neglect will always grow if the gardener of responsibility doesn't show up daily. So when you look at your life, your health, your relationships, your finances, don't ask, who's to blame? Ask, what can I do? That's the beginning of freedom. Because once you accept that it's on you, then everything becomes possible. One of the most important discoveries I ever made was this. Clarity is not just helpful. It is absolutely essential. When your goals are vague, your results will be vague. When your direction is cloudy, your progress will be slow. And yet most people move through life hoping things will get better without ever clearly defining what better actually looks like. They say, I want more success, or I want to be happier. But they never sit down and ask, how much success, by when, doing what? Or what exactly does happiness mean to me? Let me tell you, one of the turning points in my life came when I sat down, pen in hand, and wrote out exactly what I wanted my life to look like in 5 years. Not just more money, but how much, in what form, from what sources. Not just better health, but my ideal weight, my eating habits, my energy level. One of the most profound truths I've learned over the years is this: your daily habits are either quietly building your future or silently dismantling it. There is no neutral ground. Every small action you take, every routine you uphold, every decision you repeat is laying a brick in the structure of your life. And that structure, whether strong or shaky, will one day become the house you live in. It's easy to overlook the significance of a single day. After all, how much harm can one skipped workout, one missed opportunity, 1 hour wasted truly do? But let me remind you, the secret to your future is hidden in your daily routine. If you want to design a life of success, health, wealth, joy, it won't be found in a single grand gesture. It will be shaped by what you consistently do every single day. There's a timeless principle that says, sow a thought, reap an action. Sow an action, reap a habit. Sow a habit, reap a character. Sow a character, reap a destiny. And that's precisely the progression we follow from invisible to inevitable. The future isn't something that shows up. It's something you build, one habit at a time. Whether it's your finances, your health, your relationships, or your career, look at your habits. Do they support the life you want? Are they moving you forward or quietly pulling you back? Because if you don't consciously design your habits, you'll unconsciously tolerate ones that sabotage your growth. And so I urge you, start paying attention. Start choosing with intention. Because if you truly want to design your future, start by designing your days. So here we are at the crossroads where your future is no longer a question of chance, but a matter of choice. You can continue to tolerate, to drift, to explain away the days, or you can decide here and now to become the architect of a life you deliberately design. Not tomorrow, not someday, today. Because every delay only strengthens the grip of comfort, and comfort never made anyone great. Understand this, you don't need permission, perfect timing, or more resources to begin. You need a clear decision. You need to say, I will no longer tolerate what doesn't serve me. I will take full responsibility. I will design my life day by day, action by action, until what was once a dream becomes my reality. So here's your call to action. Sit down tonight with a pen, a quiet room, and a bold heart. Write down exactly what you want, why you want it, and what you'll start doing tomorrow morning to move toward it. Don't drift. Don't delay. Life's too short to live by default. Because if you don't design your future, you'll be forced to tolerate it. And that's far too high a price to pay.